what the information we have given, 3 warehouse we have provided to us and the 3 suppliers are given to us, right? Note down the 3 suppliers. Say example, the supplier 1, A, supplier B, and we have given third supplier, that is a supplier C, right? These 3 suppliers transfer the goods to the 3 warehouses. So write it over here as in a warehouse 1, or next one is a warehouse 2. The next one is a warehouse 3, right? So just make it in a box part so that it will be more understandable to you and presentable. So this is the part which we have to do up, right? We can make it in a box as well as make it in a circle so that it will be more attractive to you. Just make it highlighted over there. These are the 3 informations which is provided, warehouses and the supplier, right? Now what are the information rest we are given? We are also given the factory capacity of all these suppliers. So write it over here as in a factory capacity of all these suppliers capacity, as well as the warehouse actually required, what the warehouse required. So write it over here, warehouse requirement, right? So now we just put all the figures. What are the cost of transferring the goods from supplier A to warehouse is, note down, 5, we 4, 3, right? And for supplier B to different warehouses is 8, 4, and it's 3. And the third one for supply C to warehousing 1 is 9, 7, and 5. Right, this is the cost. And now we have further provided what the else information we have provided with the resource requirement as well as the factory capacity we've been given to us in this case scenario. Okay, so write it. Just put all this together, make it over here. Warehouse requirements is, in the warehouse 1 is 300, in the second one is 200, and the next one is 200, right? And the factory capacity for supply 1 is 100 units, it's 200 units, 300, and in the next we have 300. So these are the informations which are provided to you. Now keeping all the information together and highlighting the, you can make it like in this way, right? Now you have to calculate actually how much quantity should be transferred by supply A to warehouse so that our profit should be maximum, keeping the constraints of factory capacity as well as the warehouse requirement. As we all done this question in the numerical parts also, but now we are using a proper way, that means we are using the solver as well as an Excel, right? So note down over here what are the main instruments. Now I'm just copying all these data once again for you, putting all the data over here, right? As we have to require, what we required over here is the quantity. So this is, say example, which matrix is yours. So note down over here is the cost per unit, right? And we have to calculate the volume. So note down over here is a volume, right, which we have to calculate. So just deleting this cost, as we have to find out this value over here, and factory capacity is given, but exactly what we also required, factory supply. So I've just taken a break in between because we have to require the supply, actual supply which can pay up, right? And one more thing over here is the warehouse demand. Warehouse demand. Actually, what is actually demanded, the requirement can be there, but how much demand is there? But we know what over here is that all the suppliers, whatever the quantity they can give us, that will be the actual supply. So what we do over here, make it as in a sum. Like sum of all these warehouse 1 and 2 for the supplier A. Just find it over here. Just highlight this heading 1 to make it attractive and that it is to be cleared up what we have to require. So put it over here is equals to sum, right? Sum of total of your all the supplier 1, close and enter. Same with this is equals to sum, bracket open, add all these values together and bracket close. Again with this is equals to sum. Yes, you can copy paste also for this, and you as well as write in this way also. Right, now what we have find out, all the requirements by the supplier A of warehouse 1, 2, 3, that should be equal to 0 right now because we haven't put any values, but it should be, that is the total one. Actual factory capacity can be 100, 300 and 300, whatever the question is given. Same with the warehouse requirement is equals to sum, that's total of all these values, close the bracket, enter. Right, you can copy this value and write it over here. Right, now what we have to find out the total transportation cost, the most important thing we have to find out, total transportation cost. That will be, what is the total transportation cost? That's your quantity multiplied by cost per unit. So what we use in this is equals to sum product. Right, now we can use the concept of sum product. Sum product of what? The quantity multiplied by cost per unit. So sum product, bracket open, all your cost elements, select this array, write your cost element, comma, your volume element which you have to find out. Right, close the bracket, and here is the answer is showing 0. Why it's showing 0? As we haven't find out the quantity which we have to find in this case study. Right, this is cost per unit and this is the volume. Okay, just making this enlarge for you, make it in a times Roman, right? And we make it in like 80. Now it is visible, hope so. Okay. So first important point is what we have to actually calculate. We have to calculate the total transportation cost. That should be my maximum point, that I want to find this value is my main objective. Right, to find out this, and with this we all want to find out the volume requirement by all these suppliers and warehouse. So we go to the, what first we have to go to the data. In the data we go to the solver. If the solver is not there, then you can download the solver. Click on the solver, then it will become a first point is the set objective. What is your set objective over here? Should be this one, the transportation cost which we have to calculate. In this case, we have given E24. So E24 is your set objective. Go to maximize, minimize. What we have to select over here right now? As we want to minimize the transportation cost, right? So what we have to select? You definitely want to decrease your transportation cost. That means we will select to the minimum, right? The next point over here is by changing the variables. Which variable you exactly want to change up? Definitely you want to change your volume item, right? So clicking over here and put all these together. So this will be your volume. What are the changing elements? That's the volume you want to change up, right? Selecting all the arrow over there. Now the next point is your constraints, subject to the constraints. What are the constraints over there? The factory supply. The second constraint is your warehousing demand, as we done in the numerical also, right? So add in the constraints. So what constraints is that? You have the factory supply. And how much factory supply? That should be less than 100. So select this factory supply over here. That is an H16, right? So select the factory supply. This is your first part, that you have in a constraint that it is should be total of all the supply capacity. Select in between. What we have to select, that it should be less than equals to what? It should be less than with the factory capacity. So select over here this one, add the second supplier, this one, your 300, add, then again this one, this 300. So what we find it, okay, sorry, you just add this value, this one. Again, 3 constraints been done up with the factory, right, add, but we have 3 more constraints. What are these constraints? Warehousing. That the warehousing requirement. Every warehouse wants that their requirement should be fulfilled. Whatever the customer required, we want to fulfill that, right? So in this case, we select is equals to 300, add demand equals to, yes, your requirement. Add the next one, your demand should be equals to your requirement. Now we have to make it okay. Now check it. All the 6 constraints are showing over here. That's good. Now make the constraints variable. Select over here linear LP, that is a simplex LP. Right now click on the solver. What we find it over here? Yes, it's a good news that it's showing solver found a solution. All the constraints and optimality conditions are satisfied. The point over is showing keep the solver solutions. Yes, we want to show it. And next we will press OK, and your answer is over here, that we will fix up all the values which are exactly we are able or we want to find out. I'm just making in highlight so that you came to know, yes, we are finding all these values which are shown in the color green. So what this indicates? This indicates from supplier A to warehouse 100 units should be transferred up, and from A to warehouse 2 no units to be transferred, to warehouse 3 no units to be transferred up, and for supplier B to the warehouse 2 200 units should be transferred, and for supplier C warehouse 300 units should be transferred. And with this capacity constraints of factory requirements as well as the capacity, we get the transportation cost of 3900. That is my keen result to find out. Hope you understand this transportation problem as we done with the numerical part also.